We've got to talk about Tesla. They are recalling all the Cybertrucks due to an issue with the accelerator getting stuck in the accelerated position, causing Cybertrucks to take off in traffic. That's not great. So some other issues with Tesla have been causing it to drop dramatically lately. We have earnings coming up next week. If those aren't good or they don't announce something big, I am expecting probably another flush down, especially in the face of all of this bad news, including more bad news just yesterday and coming out today as well, with more information about that. Let's take a look at the chart right now. The Tesla chart looks terrible. It looks just awful. We're just gap down after gap down after gap down right now. No indication of a reversal in sight at all. The closest we got was back here in between January 25th and March 1st, where we were getting higher highs, higher lows. But then we got that one falling candle there that erased all of it, and then it's just been downhill from there going forward right now. So we did close in my zone here, my area down here. We closed at 147.05 yesterday on Friday. We went as low as 146.28 yesterday on that day. We are showing a big continuation of the selling action. It was slightly less volume than the day before, but I think with this news coming in, I think that we might see this come down to, in the morning, at least the pre-market on Monday, probably around 144, maybe even into 140 or the high 130s in the morning when trading does continue, begin again, and the price action reacts to this new news of the recalls on the Cybertrucks. The Cybertrucks have really seemed to be nothing but an absolute headache for Tesla over and over again. Now, there is some promising stuff here in the chart here. Now, if you look at the RSI, you can see back here on January 25th, when the price was significantly higher, we were significantly lower on the RSI. And then again, here on March 14th, we were at a lower price than or a higher price than we currently are, and a lower position on the RSI. And right now we are slightly higher than that on the RSI while being at a lower price point, which is showing bullish divergence in the RSI chart. Now, what does that mean? This is not a guarantee, but it does show that if we were to break, let me get this thing here, the swing low, there's the swing high from it. If we were to break this descending trend line right here, I'm gonna make this a dashed line. No, hate that, hate everything about that. Let's make it gray. There we go. Let's make it 1 pixel. All right, perfect. Okay, or 1 point. All right, lock it down. Yes, okay. That means that when price comes up, and if it is successful at breaking this descending trend line, that we are very likely to see a nice big push up. Where would that push take us up? Probably to this gap fill around 207, and it would probably do it pretty fast. Now, I'm not expecting that to happen yet, and it might not happen at all. RSI divergence isn't a guarantee. It just means that if price gets above this trend line, we're likely to see a big move up afterwards because of that bullish divergence. Now, if it were bearish divergence, which would be the opposite, we're getting higher prices and lower RSIs, then we would see an opposite. But right now, this is that technical that we're talking about right now, is bearish or bullish RSI divergence, where the price is getting lower, but the RSI is getting higher. And when that gets above this line, this trend line, then we're looking for the fireworks to start happening, and it could come up to 200, could come all the way to this gap fill at 207. That's what I'd be looking for. And it wouldn't happen like in a day, but it could be like a week or 2 or 3 where it's moving just up consistently towards those levels before cooling off again. But right now I am expecting, and of course, as always, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. This is simply the technicals on the Tesla chart, coupled with the bearish news sentiment coming out. And this is what I'm expecting, unless Elon gives us something amazing on Tuesday. Like, I mean amazing. He can't just, they cannot just meet expectations on this. With all this bad news filtering around, with all this capitulation on the chart, they can't just meet earnings. They have to beat earnings and plus, like beat earnings plus something, plus hope, plus Model 2, plus something that's going to happen in Tesla in the next year. Like, they need to tell us something big is coming. It's going to happen this year or next year, and we're going to deliver it. And that is likely the Model 2. They need to give us the Model 2. Otherwise, Now it could be something else. I don't know. The Model 2 is the only thing that I've got in my mind that I'm like, yeah, Tesla did a Model 2, like a sub $25,000 Tesla, and it's gonna roll out and by end of 2025. Yeah, that's gonna send us to the stratosphere. That's in my mind would. I don't know what else they could announce. It could be something else they've got, but if they don't give us something on earnings day, this likely is going to flush down to that 136 level, maybe even come down into the 120s again on Tesla. If it's really bad, like if they get some more hit pieces coming out in the media and they don't give us anything on earnings, I mean, we might even go back to sub $100 on Tesla before seeing a turnaround. And we won't turn around at that point until Elon gives us something to latch on to. He's got to deliver that hopium, or we're not going to be taking off on rockets on the way back up. That's just the way it is right now. We've gotten to my target price. I do think that this will go lower on Monday due to that bad news about the Tesla Cybertrucks being recalled. I do think that earnings, unless they are absolutely stellar and they give us some sort of an announcement of something big happening in the company that's big and is going to drive growth, make them make them competitive with BYD and expanding their margins again. I think that we're probably going to see further downside. I am at this point with this bad news, with the fact that most aren't expecting a really amazing earnings, that 136 is honestly now in the cards. 144 might hold us and take us back up again, but I think that bad news alone might take us to that 144 level. And then if earnings isn't great, we could come all the way down to that 136, which from here would be a drop of another 6-7%, which isn't super dramatic, but unless we get something good, I could see it coming down here. Now I could see some potential where it could reverse from there and start moving back up in a big way, but no, not unless we get some good news. We're going to need some good news or some really good financials showing up on this earnings report. Otherwise, it's not looking good. Now, what we're looking for now, these are some pretty dramatic drop-offs. What we're looking for is to really signal that this thing has changed, that it's going to go the other way. We got to get back above 160 and then show some stair stepping up. Like it's got to get above 160 and show a high-low swing above 180, to be honest. It's got to go back up above 180 and then do a swing low that doesn't go beneath 180 again once it gets back up there. And then we'll know for certain that we're going to be going back into the 200s again, maybe even, try to go for the highs again in the next year or so. But until then, we don't know. Now, I've mentioned some of this in the other video earlier today about how, okay, so you usually see ascending and descending channels break to the opposite way, right? It's like this is an ascending channel that broke to the downside. So was this right here? I'll draw it. I'll just draw it. So was this right here and this right here, right? Ascending channels that broke to the downside, broke to the downside, broke to the downside. And if we come over here, we've got, right, there's another one right there, a descending channel in August that went down, and that's also a pennant that broke to the upside. But on Tesla and NVDA, to be honest, sometimes you see those descending channels that break to the downside, and that's where these stocks get kind of spooky, because like you try to buy on the support level of that channel, like right here, this was a descending channel that broke to the downside, right? So it was descending. It was sitting on support. You probably would have been like, oh yeah, it's going to go back up here. And then it got to here and you're like, yeah, it's going to go even higher. And then it came back down and then just dropped. And then like you lost all your money, right? Same sort of thing over here. We had a descending channel right there, right here. That did a flash to the downside, which I would have sold. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't have sold on that little thing? And then it rocketed up to the other side, right? Loves to do that. Or like this pennant that looks like it wanted to break up, but first it breaks down. They like to do that. Here we got another descending channel that massively broke to the downside, right? Descending channel broke to the downside. Usually they break in the opposite direction, but frequently enough, not like every time, but frequently enough on Tesla and NVIDIA, to be honest, they will break the same direction. Like they'll just break in a continuation pattern, which is super scary. Now they're probably going to come back up and eventually make money, but like in the meantime, you just lost all yours, so it doesn't even matter, right? Or like back here, yeah, in July, there's a bit of a descending channel that broke dramatically to the downside. It happens on these charts. That's why these ones are spooky. They're hard to trade because like generally you see like ascending channel, it's going to break to the downside, right? Descending channel, it's going to break to the upside. That's usually what you expect on these things, and that's what's been happening here on the way down, because obviously this big boy is selling. You got a ascending channel, break to the downside. Ascending channel, give you hope, break to the downside. Ascending channel, break to the downside. So what I want to start seeing is some descending channels versus waterfalls, right? I want to see a descending channel and then to the upside. Or I want to see a big green candle coming up over 160, do a descending channel that breaks to the upside, takes me to 180, then a descending channel to 160 that takes me to the upside up to like 190, 200, that followed by a descending channel down to 180. And once I see that pivot point at 180, I'll be like, yeah, we're probably going to go back up above 200 and hold above that for a while. So that's what I'm looking for on Tesla. I'm really looking for that on Tesla. I want to see it come down now, since we got this bad news over the weekend, since earnings is likely not going to surprise us in any way unless they have something up their sleeve that they're waiting to deliver. Likely that could take us down to that 136 level. So I'm still just waiting on Tesla. To be honest, I'm just waiting on Tesla. Waiting to see what happens. I want to see that reversal and then start thinking about it from there. Let's talk about NVIDIA real quick. NVIDIA broke to the downside in a big way. It went all the way down past my 123 level, down to the high 700s, just like I mentioned on Friday's video. Now this is a descending channel that, guess what, broke to the downside. Why? Because NVIDIA is crazy. That's why. But descending channels that just break to the downside, break to the downside. Scary, super scary. Or like back here, we had an ascending channel that you would have expected this to be the break to the downside, but guess what? It was a fake out break to the upside, get wrecked shorts. They love doing that. They absolutely love doing that. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, like I mentioned. It doesn't happen all the time. Like right here, ascending channel, broke to the upside. Ascending channel, did a little fake out, break to the upside. Ascending channel, went sideways, break to the upside. Like, what? They don't even do descending channels. Okay, sometimes they do. Descending channel, break to the upside. Okay, ooh, yeah, great. You did the normal thing back here when your stock was still a normal price. So this is where things get dicey on NVIDIA, right? So we got this huge, huge candle. And now you could have said we've had knowledge that this was going to happen, and I have been talking about it come down to this level all the way since back here on April 4th, this area right here. I've been talking about it all the way since the beginning of April, that it's going to come down to this area. And you'd think like, oh yeah, I would have shorted that. I tell you right now, I did not short this. I did not short this because NVIDIA is terrifying, and it is expensive, and it loses money so fast if it doesn't go your direction. So basically, if I had shorted it down here, or this candle here where I was like pretty sure it was going to keep coming down to this area, this little 2-day move here on April 10th and 11th would have absolutely wiped out my position. So that's why I didn't do it, because I thought it would, and then it did. And then I was like, oh, great, good thing I didn't buy that. And then it started doing this descending channel. I was like, well, that's probably going to break to the upside because descending channels often break to the upside. So I didn't short it for that purpose as well. But guess what? It didn't do what stocks normally do, which is break to the upside on a descending channel. It broke to the downside because it's NVIDIA. So yeah, I missed out on a great opportunity where I could have really easily made thousands of dollars if I had bought like 2 months out. But you know what? A put contract on NVIDIA going out a month or two is going to be in the thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, which I don't have to commit to a single contract. Also, that amount of money on a single contract scares the crap out of me because I don't have a huge account. And if that doesn't scare you, you're very, very rich. Or you're crazy. I don't know, one of the two. So now we know that this was a head and shoulders pattern, actually. And this is actually played out now. So NVIDIA actually has kind of permission of the technicals to start turning around and moving its way back up from here. Like this really was the big sell-off that it needed. And it got the big volume candle, the big negative candle that it needed. Now it could come a little lower. It could come down to 725, maybe as low as 678. That's where I would see final resting place on this movement. But as far as the technicals are concerned, this head and shoulders pattern has played out. And it can continue to start building back up and go towards for that 1,000 move again. That doesn't mean it will. That just means that it can now. Just like somewhere back here, like when we saw this on March 11th, where we got that doji candle, when we got this huge volume, right? We got a huge volume bar followed by a doji, and then we started moving our way back up. That's what I'm looking for over here, which honestly, that's what I was expecting back here, right? April 17th and 18th, we got that big move down followed by a doji candle. I was expecting that to like probably move to the upside from there and then start building on there, because honestly, coming down to 823, that was plenty of momentum. That was plenty of liquidity built for NVIDIA to make that move around and go try to take out $1,000 again. This move, totally didn't expect it. Wish I had shorted it, didn't. If you did, congratulations. But also you are a gambler of a sort that I am not. Anyways, So what I'm looking for now is, yeah, some sort of doji candle followed by a big green boy. And once I get that big green boy, I don't know how to get rid of that. Once I get that big green boy, I'll be looking for a descending channel that breaks to the upside. And once I get that descending channel that breaks to the upside, that's when I'll know that NVIDIA is ready to run towards $1,000 again. And that's what I'll be waiting and looking for on NVIDIA. So that's NVIDIA and Tesla technicals right now. I am going to kick out one more video today where I will talk about ARM and SoFi if you want to stick around for that. I also need to, tomorrow, I'll talk a little bit about the miners and where I'm thinking those might go given some of the new data that we've got related to Bitcoin and the cost, the transaction fees that are wildly increasing right now. So that's all I've got for you right now. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.